Hey everybody, this is Blue, and we're going to do another book review. And so we are up to Rolemaster Companion number 4. And as you can see on the little graphic there, it's saying running out of ideas. I was very disappointed with this module. When I bought it, 3 decades and more ago, I was having grand thoughts of it. I thought this was going to be amazing because, Rolemaster Companion 3 was awesome. It was epic. RMC 2 and 3 were full of so much information, profession, spell this, that, everything. It would be hard to top it. And they didn't. It was nasty. It was terrible. It was boring. I almost felt that it was something that was thrown together out of all the rejected material from 2 and 3. I just didn't feel that they put their heart into this as they did RMC 2 and 3. And actually, I felt cheated, like they stole from me. It's that bad. The sad thing is that it's not the worst. That one's still coming up. So let's talk about the artwork first. There we go. When this was released in 1989 or 90, I can't remember exactly, there were a lot of Dragon posters out. I know because I had like 6 of them in my room, and I still collect dragons. I love dragons. I think they're awesome. And so this did not stick out. Yes, it was a dragon, cool, but the whole damsel in distress kind of, yeah, whatever. But to me, it just wasn't epic. And so it was kind of boring. And so let's go ahead and get into this thing here. As I just said, the artwork was kind of boring to me. And oops, there we go. Table of contents, yes, it does seem like it has a lot of stuff in there. But it's a little of this, little of that, and nothing massive to really catch your eyes. This was a PDF that I found online. Yeah, it's kind of crappy too, so I wasn't going to spend the extra money at RPG Market to get something that I didn't want. Okay, their first profession is the Archist. This is a variant profession of the Archmage, meaning this is somebody that casts from all 3 realms of magic according to Rolemaster, because Rolemaster has channeling, essence, and mentalism for their 3 realms of magic. For somebody like me who does not use the concept of 3 realms of magic, this profession means nothing. Also, if you look down, this is their introduction of a profession, and when you have all those option rules on there, it's just too much for it. So it just did not ever mean much to me, and I have never used the Archist profession. Alright, next up we're going to the Astral Traveler. Astral Traveler is somebody that uses magic to go in between dimensions and across the astral plane, or for the UD&D people out there, the Astral Sea. This is a decent profession, decent spell list for it. It's listed under arcane magic because this is so primitive and all that. Um, yeah, that part I didn't matter. Doesn't matter much to me. Um, the astral travel is a pure spell user. Sorry. And the part I hate about pure spell users is their weapon skills. So it costs 9 development points just to get 1 skill rank for a weapon. And, if you're a magician and all that, you kind of need to keep all your development points and focusing them on body development and other things. And if you look, body development, this determines how many hits you have. It's 8. And so the astral traveler is your magical nerd. He goes to different dimensions and all that. But when it comes to the physical realms and all that, he sucks. Oh, wow. This is going to be fun. Come on. Get out of... There we go. The Huri. The Huri is a semi-spell user of realms of arms and mentalism. Now, the Huri is basically just a different magical realm, according to Rolemaster, of the dervish, who also uses dances and seduction to get her way. So, this is kind of a waste of professions here. For me, since I got rid of the 3 realms of magic concept that they have here for Rolemaster, I combined professions, because if it's just a difference of realms, you can combine the two, combine the spell list, give them some extra, meat on the bones, and it would make your Huri or dervish into a better profession. Ah, yes, the enchanter. Oh, God, another boring profession. The enchanter is somebody that also is a hybrid spell user that combines the realms of essence and mentalism. He usually attempts to dominate and subvert his foes through the use of subtle enchantments. An enchanter is second only to an illusionist to the use of illusions. Yeah, whatever. And enchanters and enchantresses are normally charming and seductive. So, again, this is another profession that you can combine with your dervish and Huri and, average out their skills, and you can create an awesome profession. And that's what I did with those 3 professions I just talked about. They kind of forgot their format on 2 and 3 when they made this, because they made the leader just sort of in the middle. On the other 2 RMCs, they did their non-magical, semi-spell, and then your pure spell. So this kind of screwed up their format. Now, your leader is a non-spell user, specializes in leadership, warfare, and tactical skills. So he is a military leader, not really a community town leader. Something to remember. And that's it for their professions. This is one of the reasons why I was just so let down, because they only had just a few professions and that's it. Whereas, RMC 2 and 3, I think they had at least 10 each. Were they running out of ideas? They were talking here about movement. Standard movement for humans in Rolemaster is 50 feet per round. Each round is 10 seconds, in case you did not know that. And so they're talking about, changing pace and speed and all that. It just kind of boring. Next up was morale. And, when dealing with a large number of combatants and casualties, so if you were doing something similar to a war game, morale is an important factor. And really, if you're just having your group going up against a group of whatever's NPCs. This really can only affect them. It's not really good for, the game. So I found myself ignoring that option rule. Maneuvering on fumbles. Okay, come on, get focused up again. There we go. A chart. This particular RMC was full of a lot of these charts. And like this one, it just basically tells you, how bad you screwed up, how bad, your stress is going to be. Kind of, in my opinion, useless. We have, this is for their movement and maneuver. And there we go. Looks like that helps things out. It's just to add to your, when you're adding those really weird things that you want PCs to do, see how they roll to find out if they are able to achieve that task. Because they are hitting into the insane, phenomenal, and virtually impossible, I've never used this chart. We're talking about changing the initiative system and difficulties and maneuvers. Again, they are going into areas where I don't think we would know sane PC or GM would be doing. Virtually impossible, a negative 200 modifier. Do you know that is absolutely stupid? Because it's just like going, my PC is gonna go jump over those 200 guards, and when he does, I'm gonna go over and kiss that goddess on the lips. That is virtually impossible, right? Oh, he gets to roll with a 200 modifier, negative 200 modifier. And so I just did not like that. More of the initiative charts, every little modifier. On this part, it is my opinion that Rolemaster was making things more difficult than they needed to be. Attacking to subdue, where you're trying to control your opponent without killing him. Okay. They have disarm foe skill already in Rolemaster, so I think this was, again, making things harder than it needs to be. And you can see for that Breaking 115, it's a revisited. They've already talked about it 2 other times. Why not make it 3? And then right above it, Stock and Hide versus Professions. This is a one skill versus another skill. And it kind of was boring. Shield bashes. Now, a shield bash is when you use your shield as a weapon against your foe. Okay, it should be very simple. You should be able to, and this is one of the things I've done with my game, and that is I turned it into an attack table. We have 3 types of shields, okay? And so we have the target shield, a normal shield, a wall shield, attack tables, and so you develop that as an attack just like you would do a broadsword. And so that would make all of this BS irrelevant. And the activity point based turn sequence. Again, they are making it extremely difficult. Yes, you can incorporate these, but I just think this was taken away from the game. And so here we got, certain weapons, if you're using this weapon, it will cost you this much in your actions. And it just was hideous. And so, come on, computer. And then they got, again, more revised combat sequences. And making snap perception rolls and all that. And they just picked the worst stuff to put in this RMC. Again, they're still talking about how to do combat rounds, so you can see multiple pages wasted. Spell loss. This is about using unique spells. This would be like your individual spells. And then they talked about undercasting here. Because Rolemaster uses the PowerPoint system, saying that if it's level 7 spell, it's going to cost you 7 PowerPoints, and if you don't have it, you can't cast it. Well, they're giving the option rule now where you can cast level 7 spell with lesser PowerPoints. And I myself will not allow that. Here they talk about ritual magic, and depending on your game system, your magic system, saying that a ritual can last 4 hours to do certain things, I think is going to take away from the game. One of the highlights on this module is that they gave additional base lists so that you can make your PC better. And so that part I liked. Spell Catalyst is another bunch of option rules to make spell casting more intricate. In other words, difficult, maybe boring. And so I would advise myself not to using that. Channeling PowerPoints. This is again, getting your PowerPoints from your deity in the game, and this makes the game very difficult. Even for somebody like me who loves the numbers and loves to do the equation part, this is adding another chart that should not be there. And this is learning spells, individual spell development. Again, they're making everything a little bit too difficult. A whole bunch of modifiers for spell attacks. It just was nasty. When you do your character development, you could roll a nice high number with an open-ended roll. You can get up to like 110 stat on your strength for your character, and so he should have some extra abilities, and that's what this is talking about. So that's nice. It does help the game a little bit. In previous RMCs, they had meditation broken down into, I believe it was 7 separate skills. So, you can have your meditation for death, sleep, healing, so on. Well, here they are having it as a single skill, and if you wanted to make the game easier, then yes, this would work. But I believe that a little bit of complexity is needed, because if all you have to do is just develop the one skill, then you could say, well, meditation could be for this and this and that. It kind of makes some vague lines on what's allowed and what's not. It's not clear. Maintaining adrenals. An adrenal offense or defense is when you stop and think, plan things through. You get your focus, your concentration, and you force yourself through a situation. Now, these can only last, usually it's for one round for some actions and multiple rounds for others. You know, once you complete that particular planned movement, then that adrenal is over. This is about extending them. And I personally don't do that. There's the modified frenzy. That could be interesting to you. Spell mastery. This is good if you wanted to change up skills a little bit. Magic, I mean. So it's okay. Then they have this, if you have old characters. I did not like that particular option because, you know, if your character is so old, then, you know, they get some stats, but I don't think most people are going to want to start a character that is in his 80s, in my opinion. Again, more boring on skill development here. Voluntary skill development. So if your character is so old, like an elf, and then he can get all these skill ranks for, like, well, I forget one. If he's 1,000 years old, he has 150 plus one skill rank for every 20 years over 1,000. And I don't do that because I think each level is different, and so you could just constantly go, I have a 3,000-year-old elf character, and then you can overpower him with all of these options. So I don't think this would work well for the game. Then magical languages. 2-weapon combo, there's multiple options on that. I generally, you know, saying that they have to develop each skill. You know, if you have a broadsword in your right and a dagger in your left, you develop them, each skill separately, and then if you need to add an 80% activity, you can combine the two. I think that myself is the best way. Adrenal defense with equipment. New skills, body rigidity, that's okay. Molding skills. Now this one was kind of interesting. A GM should not feel restricted to use all of the Rolemaster skills, and he should not feel hesitant to make up his own skills. Yes, if you're doing a homebrew, you can omit skills. You might not want to have the seduction skill in your game, and so you can remove it if you want. And then, so they're listing some of these skills here. Botany, plants. I just found that part kind of nonsensical. New uses for old skills. I think that should not have been in here, because a skill is a skill, and just because somebody doesn't use it a lot doesn't mean that it's old and should be ignored. It just background options. Now, this is another bright point. One of the things I like about Rolemaster is the fact that they got these background options, and you can roll for them. So most professionals get about 5 rolls, and so you have these background tables. You can get certain results depending on your role, of course, and so you can, you know, tailor your character to what they roll. A lot of people and D&D, from what I'm understanding, they develop a character on their own, then get it approved by the GM, Well, here in Rolemaster, you make these rolls and you can get certain perks or maybe a disability if it's a very bad roll. And you can then use that to build on your character. And so you can see how if you roll, you can get some interesting weapons. There's spell ladders, spell multipliers. A spell ladder, if you don't know, is you have like a necklace or something that allows you to cast one more spell or a couple more spells. It's kind of like a portable spell slot for you D&Ders. Spell multiplier, that is more of a PowerPoint multiplier. So you can have like a ×2 PowerPoint multiplier, and if your regular daily PowerPoints is 54, if you're wearing that for the full day, it now becomes 108. So that doubles the amount of spells you can possibly use. I like that part. Yeah. More background options. Now, this is adding random events in your character's past that can be added to their story. You have negatives, so I mean, if you keep rolling low numbers, and you can get it where you lose minor amount of energy, you're out with society, you lost a major magic item. You can gain magic items. You can be marked by a deity. You can be rich. You can meet a deity. There's a lot of options, and that's nice. I better speed up a little bit here. Starting language ranks. Each gaming system has their own. How do you learn languages and interact with people that speak different languages than your native language? Oh God. Quick NPC generation. This is a waste of time. Now, D&D and the clones go up to 20th level, and if you do that, this could be good for you. But Rolemaster supposedly goes up to 50th level, and the version that I'm working up goes up to 100th level. And so really, unless you're going to just use low-level characters, this does not work for you. It does add, and this chart is halfway decent. This lets you, create professions randomly for your NPC. So, you could do a couple dice rolls, and all of a sudden you could have a level 2 roofer and a level 3 skinner coming down the street. So that could help the Game Master DM in creating better NPCs. Alignment, this is something that Rolemaster does not focus on or worry about, and so this part here is a waste of time. They got equipment pricing, but they have a nice system in character law, and so this basically just makes it more stuff to slow you down. Quality based upon your skills, that's a nice thing to have, but now if you want to add that level of detail to your game, you can. Stress criticals. Oh God. Rations and life status. Now, this section right here is all about if your character or APC is starving to death, dying of thirst, how long this person will live. And it's kind of a nice thing to have, but I found it slows down the game in trying to keep track of everything. Okay? Omens and Phenomena. Now, this is again one of the highlights of this particular RMC. It is about incorporating events into your game so that it's not boring. So if you're needing some help there, this could help you. They have what they call unnatural phenomena, supernatural weather. You can see on the top here they got this blue lightning, which is basically lightning that can occur from any cloud, and it is usually a sign of a deity smiting somebody that has offended them or that is violating the rules of their beliefs. Okay, that's how that works. You got godwins here, which are, again, deities basically smiting people. Now, they talk about gunpowder and steel, firearms in here. I personally do not use gunpowder in my game. I am against the use of firearms in my game because I want a nice pure fantasy and I want to use magic for certain things. I was part of a group many years ago, in which they had gunpowder, and so this guy, this one PC, always bought dynamite. And so, because he liked to be disruptive, if a situation popped up, he would use his stocking hiding, and he would maneuver himself as close as he can and lob 2 sticks of dynamite in there and blows up everything. And so that made things hard for the GM, which thankfully was not me, and for everybody else, because dynamite has a blast radius and such, and so there were times where he did not aim very well, and members of the party were affected by the dynamite. And so I see that dynamite and gunpowder can be very disruptive, and so I do not have them in my game. Exhaustion points. Now this is, you got to go through it really well. It can be a little bit overwhelming. It helps, if you're making the PCs, doing a lot of excruciating work. There has got to come a point where they can't do anymore. So that can help you. Spell list. Starting off is for the Astral Traveler. And you can see Outer Plane Law. That's a nice spell list to have. It lets them travel from one dimension to another. Now, with D&D, with all of the astral realms and all the astral sea and all the other realms, this spell can be a little overwhelming. So if you're going to use this, make sure that you read it first, and then you might have to tone it down a little bit. Elemental travel. This is about going between mundane realms to like a fire realm, and that so that you can survive it. It's requirement elemental summons. Well, that's kind of self-explanatory. You summon elementals. Xenolores. This is important for the astral traveler, since he'll be going to a new area. It's the best way for him to learn. The Huri, which is, like I said, a dervish. There they have their spell list for kissing. You can kiss for fire, which I'd love to see. Kiss for sleeping, kiss for slavery. Yes, slavery. Influences, alluring ways. Huri change, which is about changing their facial features and improving their appearance. Then you got your illusion law for your enchanters, enchanting law. What a title. Miscellaneous. Now, this they have some good spell lists. Arachnomancy, this is magic involving spiders, which is cool. Foul Changes is 1 and 2. This is for your evil magician, and so how their magic affects both them and their target. It's kind of weird at times, but it's interesting. Enrichment, this is dirt work, basically. Then they got their open and closed. This is pleasures, where they can be relaxed, entertained. You can make them laugh. It can be used quite nicely. Mind's Grip, this is about getting control of your opponent. So that spell can be used. They do a lot of cross-referencing here. You can see where, this spell's just like, and then, like number 8, Fire Grip, is 10. It's like Fire Grip 2, except for range. Rolemaster, for a long time, did very bad on their spell list because they did this crap. Weapon alterations, this is about changing up your weapon. In the spell list, they say everything's a blade, but it can be used for all weapons. Counter spells, of course, this is going to be nice if you're a wizard. You like the idea of a wizard, somebody that can use spells to counter other people's spells. So that can really add to the game. Here's a good one of my favorite spell laws. You can only use it for certain professions, in my opinion, though, and that's acid law. Nothing like throwing a gallon of sulfuric acid at your opponent, right? And for the bard, you can improve your bard's abilities with Sonic Law. You can really have a killer loot then, right? Because they have like sonic blades, sonic prisons, walls of sonics. It's quite interesting. Now, they have a few pages dedicated to individual spells. There is one spell here that I think should never have been written and completely destroys game balance. Now, what you can see right here is minor improbability. Now, this spell by itself is no big deal. Basically, something that could possibly happen but kind of odd can happen. So you can have like a brand new rope break. Somebody can trip where there was nothing to trip them up. Minor things. Okay, that won't affect the game. Then on the next page you have major improbability. The range increases, but things that are more unlikely to happen can happen. And here they're saying like magical weapons can be broken. Boulders can be made to fall. Wheels can fall off of a chariot. Things that are improbable can be initiated. Okay, so you can see how that could create a lot of problems if it's used vaguely. And then we go to this one. Impossibility. If it's impossible with this spell, it's a level 50 spell, so yes, it's high up there, but not that high up there. And, anything can happen. Buildings can be swallowed up by the ground. A magical sword can be reverted back to its original one. A person can grow a new limb. An object or a being can be summoned, banished from or to another place. The more impossible and or creative the effect, the better. Okay, so what if somebody was to cast this spell and they're going nuclear bomb? It's an impossibility, especially if it's not in that game world, but it is an impossibility. And so with this spell, do you let a nuclear bomb detonate? So that part is pretty much the end of this module. The reason I said that I felt robbed is, now this only goes to page 75. Now in RMC3 it goes, I think, right up to, let me check real quickly, I believe, yeah, it goes to page 95. Okay, so they're taking 20 pages away from you because they decided to create a checklist. Hey, what option rules are you following? Here's the checklist. Mark off whichever ones you want. There's no creativity here. We just here's a rule. Are you going to follow it? I absolutely hated this. This was a waste of time and space. Okay? Then they have a spell list index. Yes, for all the spells that are in the RMCs and in spell law, they got listed here for quick reference. Yes, that would be something handy to have. However, this is killing up pages and pages and more frickin' pages from this RMC, and that's what makes this Rolemaster companion so terrible. How does this help you in the game? It makes it quicker to get to a spell, or if you have a player that's thinking they knew a name of the spell you wanted to use, great. But it does not help the game. I think Rolemaster Companion 4 can be missed. It does not give enough worth buying. So please put your comments down below. And everybody, please take care. Be at peace. See you all later.